In the summer of 1920, one man in Boston was reportedly pulling in $250,000 every single day. 29 years later, he died in a charity hospital with $75 to his name, just enough to bury him. And the company behind all that money? When investigators finally opened its books, they found just $61. This is Charles Ponzi. Here's what almost nobody tells you about the most famous scam in history. Charles Ponzi didn't actually invent it. He stole it. He was born in Italy in 1882. His family had money and expectations. Young Carlo met neither of them. In 1903, he reached Boston with $2.50, having gambled the rest away, by his own account, at sea. For years, America gave him nothing. He washed dishes. He slept on park benches. He drifted from city to city, job to job. Then, in 1907, he landed in Montreal, taking a job as a teller at a small bank called Banco Zarosi. And this bank had a secret. It paid 6% interest on deposits, double what any honest bank in town offered. But that money didn't come from profit. The bank's owner was quietly paying his earliest investors, using cash from the new ones who just walked in. Ponzi watched the whole trick from behind the counter. He watched it work beautifully, right up until the day it didn't. The bank collapsed. The owner fled to Mexico with the customers' savings, and Ponzi was broke all over again. But he'd learned something no honest job could teach him. Remember that trick with the deposits? He never forgot it. Desperate and penniless, he found a checkbook in an empty office and wrote himself a check for $423. He was caught almost instantly. 3 years in a Quebec prison. He wrote to his mother that he'd landed a job assisting the warden. After release in Quebec, he was caught again within days, smuggling immigrants over the border. He'd spend another 2 years behind bars in Atlanta. By 1917, he was back in Boston, married, and failing at yet another honest job. Then, as Ponzi himself told it, an envelope arrived from Spain, and inside was a slip of paper that would make him famous. It was a postal reply coupon, a prepaid voucher you could swap for stamps in almost any country on earth. And here was the loophole. Europe's currencies had collapsed after the war, so he'd buy the coupons cheaply over there, where they were worth almost nothing. Then back in America, he'd redeem them for full price. He paid pennies and pocketed the rest. Completely legal, and the math worked out. There was just one problem. Shipping millions of tiny paper coupons across the ocean was impossible. He didn't care. He opened a business with a grand name, the Securities Exchange Company, a decade before America's real one existed. The promise was simple and insane. Hand him your money, and he'd give you back 50% more in 45 days. February 1920, $5,000 came in. March, $30,000. May, over $400,000. The word was spreading like fire. And the early investors? They got paid, in full, on time, with the money pouring in from all the new ones. By July, he was reportedly hauling in $250,000 a day. A mansion, a chauffeur, crowds cheering in the street. This is the first case file in the Ponzi paper trail. If you want the money followed every week, subscribe. Now here's the detail that tells you exactly who Ponzi was. A year earlier, a bank called Hanover Trust had rejected him. They'd refused him a loan of $2,000. So now, at the height of his fortune, he bought the entire bank. The man they turned away at the door now owned the building. But one single number was about to end everything. The Boston Post asked a respected financial mind, Clarence Barron, to quietly check the actual math behind Ponzi's coupon empire. He found that to cover all the money Ponzi had taken, Well over 100 million postal coupons would need to exist in the world. The real number in circulation? Around 27,000. The entire empire was built on coupons that were never even there. Then Ponzi's own hired publicist turned on him, telling the newspapers, in print, that his client was a financial idiot who could barely add. And the crowds outside his office changed overnight. The cheering investors became a furious mob, all demanding their money back at once. On August 9th, regulators froze his accounts. When the auditors finally opened his books, his debts ran millions beyond anything he owned. And the postal coupons, the entire foundation of the fortune, they found $61 worth. That was it. $61. In just 8 months, he'd taken in somewhere between $15 and $20 million. Hundreds of millions in today's money. His collapse dragged Hanover Trust and several other Boston banks down with it. The Boston Post won a Pulitzer for exposing him. You'd think the story ends there. It doesn't, because Charles Ponzi, quite simply, could not stop being Charles Ponzi. Out on appeal in 1925, he surfaced in Florida selling swampland, promising 200% returns in 60 days. Convicted again, he reportedly faked his own death, leaving his clothes and a note on a beach, and fled disguised as a dishwasher. He left prison in 1934, straight into the hands of immigration agents. Deported. He would never see America again. His wife left him. He drifted to Brazil, alone and nearly blind. Slowly, quietly, he faded into poverty. On January 18, 1949, he died in a charity ward in Rio de Janeiro. His entire estate, $75. Think about it. He conned thousands of ordinary people, toppled banks, and vanished into a pauper's grave. But the damage never really stopped. Here's what should scare you. The scheme never died with him. It just changed clothes. 60 years later, on Wall Street, a soft-spoken man built the very same machine. Same lie, same math. His name was Bernie Madoff. Where Ponzi stole millions, he stole $65 billion, the largest fraud in history. How did he fool the entire world for 20 years? And who finally caught him? That story is coming up next.